Today, I'm going to be showing you guys the top 10 tools that you absolutely need if you're going to be getting into flipping cars. I wish somebody actually brought this list up to me when I was starting things up. So here it is for you guys. Whatever you have, cool, you can check that off the list. Whatever you don't have, you should probably get it now if you're going to be starting up with things yourself. All right, guys, let's get to it. What's up, guys? My name is Jamal from Flipping University. In this channel, I help people that might not have too much mechanical experience go from amateur to expert flipping cars so that they can build a life of freedom doing whatever they want, whenever they want. And just as a couple of things to explain before we get into the list, these are going to be the primary things that you can use over and over again, not disposable items like cleaners and different things like that that you have to keep buying over and over. Most of these things are items that you most likely possibly already have yourself, or you could get for under $100. So it's not like you have to spend a lot of money to get most of these things. And on top of that, this is going to be going in descending order, 10 being the least important thing that you need in the list, and 1 being the most important thing on the list. The number 10 spot is going to a flashlight. And with this one, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be a very simple flashlight. This one I only got for around $10. I would say it would be good if you at least get an LED flashlight just so you could have a little bit more visibility. But the reason this is on the list is going to be very important, not only when you're going to buy the car, so you could be checking around the engine bay for leaks and different things like that, but also when you're going to be fixing the car up later. It's really good to have some type of visibility with where you're working. And truthfully, if you are going to be working on the car yourself, it might even be good to have other lights set up in the area that you're working around. Because honestly, it's very hard to do a job if you can't see exactly what's going on with it. All right, and now for the next spot, the number 9 spot goes to a breaker bar. For this, you can usually also get very cheap. You can pick it up at Harbor Freights or wherever else for probably like $20 or less. But with this one, you might not be using it with every job that you're doing, especially if it's just a job that you're detailing the car with. But a lot of jobs, if you're doing mechanical work with it, it's gonna require a breaker bar at some point. I wouldn't say it's every job, but a lot of jobs out there will. And really, if you want it to be a little bit fancier with things, instead of having a breaker bar, you could have power tools. You could have like electric power tools and different things like that. But this is for you guys to be a little bit cheaper with the list. And a breaker bar accomplishes that very well. The number 8 spot goes to a ratchet set. This is also something that you can get for very cheap. You don't really need a huge kit. I'd say for most jobs, you're probably going to be doing things from around a 10mm to about a 20mm. So if you have enough sockets to be able to cover that range, that's usually good enough. Again, this is something that you can definitely get for probably under $50. It doesn't have to be that expensive of a thing, but I would say you definitely need this. Most mechanical jobs that you're going to be doing is going to require a ratchet set at some point. I will say that every car that I flip is not going to always be mechanical work. There's a lot of cars that I flip that really is just a detailing job, or some cars I literally don't even do that. I just found it for a really good deal and I'm just going to be flipping it after. But for that reason, it falls into this spot. And now the number 7 spot goes to an extractor. For this, the price range could fluctuate a little bit more. For the one that I got, this Bissell Spot Clean Pro, I believe it got it around 100 to 150 for it. But it doesn't have to be this one. There are ones that you can get for cheaper and even under $100. There's gonna be some cars out there that are just filthy, where you can't just do a simple thing of just spraying a solution over it and then scrubbing it down and then just wiping it off. There's going to be dirt trapped deep in there that you have to extract out. And if you just leave it in there, it's either just not going to be that clean, it's not going to look that clean when it's time to sell it, or you could literally just spill a bottle of water on that seat and it'll go back to being stained. So I would definitely say that this is something worth the investment. And now the number 6 spot goes to a drill. With a drill, you could probably pick it up under $50 as well. I like Ryobi products in general, so this is why I went with this one. But with the drill, the reason why I put it here is just because there's so many uses that you can do with the drill. Whether it's for actually drilling something out, if it's a nut that's stuck in somewhere that you can't take out otherwise, or if it's a brush attachment like this that you could use to scrub down the seats and all, or if it's a buffer wheel on top of that that you could use for buffing the headlights or buffing the car out. There's a lot of different uses for it, but this is definitely something I would suggest a lot of people getting just because it's pretty cheap. You don't need to have a really fancy drill, but I say for just about every car that I flip, I use this drill at some point in the process. And the next thing is a bit of a duo with a jack and jack stand. With most cars that you're going to be doing and having some type of mechanical work to do, even if it's not a crazy amount of mechanical work, just as something as changing the oil for the car, you're going to need a jack and a jack stand. What I have here, I got from Harbor Freights. It's a Daytona. I got it for a little over $100. I would definitely suggest them. I've had them for a good while myself. They're not that expensive, and they've definitely held up over time. But there are ones that are even cheaper than this, whether it's from Harbor Freights or from other places online. Even if you're not flipping cars yourself, if you're planning on just working on cars a little bit, you need to have a jack and a jack stand. The number 4 spot actually has 2 different options. It would either be having a vacuum that you could use, or if you don't have a vacuum, especially if you're in a spot where it'd be pretty tough to get power over to the vacuum to vacuum out the cars. What you can also do as a second option would potentially be signing up into a car wash by you that does unlimited service, not only washing your car but vacuuming your car out as well. Of course, a car wash is going to depend on your area. The one that I go to, it's about $15 a month to pay for it, and I could take any car that I have there, so it's definitely worth it for me. For a vacuum, you could probably get a cheap one for around $50 to $100. Number 3 spot goes to a car. And really, this can be any car, and most likely, if you guys are checking out flipping cars, you probably already have your own car. But for this has to be in the top 3, just because, not to say you definitely can't do it at all if you don't have your own car, but it would definitely make things a lot harder. You could do something like taking a bus or public transportation over to check out the car, and then if things don't work out, you gotta take an Uber back or public transportation back, or whatever the case may be. But the thing about that is, first of all, that wastes a lot of time rather than just driving over to wherever the car is that you're gonna be checking out. But on top of that, it's just gonna make you in a lot more of a desperate mindset, just because you're gonna be thinking, man, I hope I can actually get this car, otherwise I'm gonna have to be taking 2 hours possibly to get back home, or I gotta be spending $50 for an Uber back home. And you don't want to be in a desperate mindset when you're making a big financial purchase. And on top of that, the seller is also going to see that little bit of desperation that you have as well, just because he will know if things don't work out with the car, you have to end up taking public transportation or an Uber or whatever home. So you're not going to be having as much buying power as if you just drove there yourself. Of course, you could get a ride with someone else if you have to make things a little bit more free for yourself. It would definitely be good to have your own car. And now the number 2 spot is the thing that I'm actually holding and using to record this video. It's a smartphone. And of course, for everyone that's watching this video, most likely you probably have your own smartphone, unless you're watching it on a laptop or a tablet or anything else. That'd be pretty strange if you have your own tablet and you're thinking about flipping cars, but you don't have your own phone. But you never know, some people are a little strange. And first of all, you don't need a crazy smartphone. You don't need to have some $1,000 or even nowadays $2,000 phones just to get into flipping cars. It could honestly be something really simple. It could be like a $100 to $200 phone. As long as it can get on the internet and it could take pictures when it comes time to taking pictures of the car to post it up, that's really all you need. And of course, on top of that, you should be able to access things like Facebook and OfferUp and Craigslist and all that stuff. But the big thing with a smartphone nowadays is it's crazy how much information we have just from our smartphones alone. And I don't think people really realize what we have now that people didn't have 20 years ago. Give me a second, is a plane flying by? All right, back to everything. With a smartphone, I mean, the fact that obviously, first of all, to search for the cars, you're going to be using a smartphone. You don't have to be stuck to a computer or something like that, like years ago when people had to be searching through Craigslist. You can do it from the comfort of anywhere. You could search up common problems for the car. You could search up the value of the car when you're checking out the car. And then, of course, when it comes time to post up the car, you can do that to connect to other people that want to buy it. So if you don't have a smartphone, I don't know why you wouldn't have one now, but you definitely need to get one. And now, the number 1 spot. And really, if our number 1 spot isn't the same, I'd like to hear what your feedback is too. But for me, it'd be an OBD scanner. This is not the exact one that I use nowadays. I use a blue driver most of the time when I'm checking out cars. But you can get something like this from Walmart. This is only like $15 for it. But this is huge when you're going to be flipping cars. Like, usually how it is when I go to check out a car, I'll go to the person, I'll say, all right, so what's the story with the car? Is there anything I should know about it before I start searching up things, so I know if this was a waste of my time or not? And then pretty soon after, I'll take a walk around the car and then scan that thing up. If I scan it up and either it shows that the codes were just cleared, and I can see that pretty easily, or there's codes in the system that he just forgot to mention before I came to check out the car, that completely changes how things will be going forward. And then obviously on top of that as well, when it comes time to buying the car, you need to know exactly what you're dealing with. You need to know what's going on with the engine or even the transmission or anything like that. If you're going to check out a car and you're not scanning that thing up and then something comes up later that you weren't expecting, honestly, that's on you, because it is just so easy to scan a car up nowadays and be able to see most of the problems that cars could potentially come up with in the future or already has right at that moment. And that's everything, guys. As I said, that's my #1 spot. This is my list. If you guys have any type of changes in the list that you would make yourself, you can let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear what you guys think as well. And on top of that, if you guys are someone that is new to my channel, I did put together a 10 free and easy checklist to help you buy some great car deals for yourself. The checklist that I'm giving you guys, most of these points are things that I really follow myself when I'm going to check out cars. This is not just some random checklist that I'm printing from off the internet. But when you get access to it, you can just download it onto your phone and bring it with you with every car you're gonna check out. And to get access to that, you can just go to the link in the description below. And on top of that, the people that have access to this checklist or have gotten access to it before, I'm gonna be giving you guys something huge at the end of this month that's really gonna be helping you out, whether it's gonna be someone to flip a car or just to buy a great car deal for yourself to actually keep and use for forever. But I am only going to be releasing it to those people exclusively, not to the rest of the people on my YouTube channel. So make sure that you get the checklist so you don't miss out on the big news coming up. And in the next video I'm gonna be dropping out next week, I'm going to be going along the next part of this series, turning $1,000 to $100,000 flipping cars, where we're going to be covering how much we sold our last car for, and then we're going to be going to the auction to see what we can get with that money that we came up with. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to be alerted when that video drops. All right, guys, till next time, peace.